I shared my husband's darkest secret. He just found out and I'm terrified. Should I leave him? This is OKOP, where we read the craziest true stories on earth. I'm John, and Sam. Should OP leave the relationship?
Stitches and snitches have a thing in common.
They do. What is that?
Snitches get kicked to the curb. Get curb stomped, actually.
There's only one way to find out. Spill that tea! And no links 3857 says, I, 28 female, had woken up this morning because the sheets I was lying on were wet. I assumed our child, 6 female, had had an accident. Good assumption. But when I checked where the wetness came from, to my surprise, turns out it wasn't her, but my husband had wet the bed.
Okay, yikes. But hey, it happens to the best of us.
Does it? Does it, Sam? You have something you want to confess to us?
I'm a bedwetter!
Oh, God! After I had taken a shower, I woke him up and told him that he had wet the bed. No great way to break that news. At first, he denied it. Then I guess he realized he indeed had done it, and he got this mortified look on his face, jumped right out of bed, and started to try to rip the bedding off. As we have pull-on sheets and our child was sleeping on the other side, he didn't get them off. Jeez, he's gonna spin his child in the air, just like whoop, like a cartoon.
Put him in a cocoon.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and also it's a pea cocoon.
Oh God. Yikes. It looks stupid and honestly quite funny, so I chuckled. He angrily told me that it wasn't funny, so I stopped. At that point, the only thing his pulling off the sheets had accomplished was to wake up our child, who was confused and asked what was going on.
Why is the bed wet, Daddy?
Huh? He didn't say anything, just idiotically continued to try to get the sheets off. So when he didn't reply...
How can man not get the sheets off? Like, red flag. If your man doesn't know how to change the sheets, then that's a red flag in my book.
I thought you were going to say, if he ain't strong enough to rip them sheets off the bed. Yeah, that is a little weird that he's still struggling.
Maybe they're slippery from all the wetness.
Oh, see?
Ugh.
So when he didn't reply to the daughter asking what had happened, I just told her that he had wet the bed.
Oh, I mean, come on. Don't say that to your daughter.
At that, he just froze and looked at me with this weird look on his face, almost like he was about to cry or something.
He's so embarrassed.
Our child asked why he wet the bed. And as he still was completely silent, I went to say something along the line of that sometimes accidents happen. He just stood there staring at me. If looks could kill, I would be dead. And I'm not exaggerating when I say he looked at me with pure hate. I've never been afraid of him, but for a second or two, I thought he might attack me. Then he just dropped the things he'd managed to get off the bed on the floor, left the room, and locked himself in the bathroom for about 45 minutes.
Man is struggling. I don't know if it's a cool thing to be like, Daddy wet the bed.
Yeah, I feel like the mom, like it was just one of those, like it was just the reflex, and then she's like,
I don't think she meant to do it, but it's it's not a good look.
Not fun. But also 45 minutes in the bathroom, like
Man's listening to Taylor Swift and crying right now in the shower.
When he came out, he got dressed in a hurry and just left saying that you can take her to school. He didn't even look at me. His behavior really annoyed me, but I just let him be as I didn't want to argue with him when he was in such a bad mood.
Yeah, he's embarrassed.
When I got home from work, he was still sulking and basically ignored me. I was still annoyed with him from the morning, so his behavior annoyed me even more. So I told him to get over it, that it wasn't the end of the world that he wet the bed, and to stop taking it out on me.
I mean, true. She has a point.
And then he accused me of having humiliated him when I told our child. I found that utterly ridiculous on so many levels. So I angrily told him that he humiliated himself when he effing wet the bed. Not me.
Oh.
Ouchie, wow.
Dude, I mean, he's just so embarrassed. He's so embarrassed. Like he's not acting as an adult right now for sure. But give the man a break. Like
he didn't take that too well and just said F you and went off to his computer. And now he refuses to talk to me. I'm going to be honest. I'm throwing up a red flag.
Okay, why?
I think they're both being the a-hole here right now. Like the wife is like
she's not being sensitive to something that's obviously very embarrassing.
Which honestly, like when you wet, it's not like you intend or like could hold it in. Like people just wet the bed in their sleep by accident. So it's not like, oh, why did you do this? Okay, that's stupid. But he is having such an overreaction, like locking himself in the bathroom for 45 minutes to me. I don't know. I'm just like, it's making me suspicious.
Tonight will be the night that I will fall for
you over again.
As he's in the shower crying and peeing.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him, dude. I feel bad. I think he's being I think everyone's the asshole here. She's not being sensitive to him being embarrassed, and he's acting like a child.
And I won't put it on just yet, but you know, with our type of stories, there might be a tinfoil conspiracy I feel coming, but I don't have enough yet. But I might be close.
Okay,
I might be close, but we'll see. We got to keep reading.
I have a feeling. I am going to put my tinfoil hat on.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
I have a feeling that this is going to blow massively out of. It's already blowing out of proportion. I think it's going to go even bigger.
I agree. Your prediction was so crazy, it blew my tinfoil hat right off. I just feel confused. I think he's the one that behaved poorly and immature, and that I haven't done anything wrong. The last thing I said may have been harsh, but I feel like he had it coming. Yet I feel like perhaps I was too mean to him. Am I the a-hole? We have some edits, but real quick, everyone watching, Sam, please answer the question for me. Is OP the a-hole specifically?
I think slightly.
Yeah.
Only for not being like a little bit more sensitive to something that's embarrassing. That being said, I think he is also the asshole, and possibly, probably, almost definitely more of an asshole than OP. Like, I think the asshole meter is like him, then OP, but they both exist on the meter currently in my eyes.
I would totally agree. I think I feel the same about the assessment, and that everyone's kind of the a-hole as of right now.
But I want to know what you guys think. Put your answers in the comments.
Argue with us. Yeah. We love it. On to the edits. I just want to clarify that I did not tell our child to be mean or to humiliate my husband. I told her because I didn't know what else to say, and it was quite obvious what had happened. I thought it was just best to be honest.
You could just say like, oh, I spilled something on there.
Totally. Yeah. She didn't have to do all that. I didn't tell her in any humiliating way, just as a matter of fact, without making it a big thing. I didn't think my husband would feel that bad about it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Edit number 2. For some reason, someone has posted to a post claiming that it's mine. It's not, and this doesn't have anything to do with me, and my husband doesn't have cancer. Well, that's good news.
Oh, it's like wetting the bed, like a sign of cancer.
I guess maybe someone was trying
Prostate
to like
cancer. Maybe
someone was really trying to read the tea leaves there and put together pieces that didn't mean to belong together. And we are on to the first update.
Let's get it.
And so this first one was posted November 30th, and this update is December 1st. Thanks to everyone that made me see the situation from my husband's side and made me realize that I'm an a-hole or worse. So OP is accepting.
I'm glad. I feel like he was embarrassed. Like treat him sensitively.
Totally. I reread my original post, and there are some things that I would like to elaborate on before I come to the true update. I did feel empathy, and I did care about my husband. I was gentle when I told him after I'd woken up. However, his reaction caught me off guard, and the time from when he got up from the bed until he'd locked himself in the bathroom couldn't have been more than a minute. After that, I felt it was best to leave him alone. I know I was an a-hole for telling our child, but I didn't do it to be mean or humiliate him. It was a stupid, wrongful decision, and I regret it.
I think I believe that.
Which
it sounds like a reflex, like kind of what we said.
A reflex, totally. Further, it's not easy to show someone that you care when you're being ignored. I did text him after he left and asked if he was okay, but he left it on read. I asked him again when I got home, but he didn't answer me. I asked him if we could talk about it. No answer. I asked him if he could at least tell me why he was so mad at me. No answer. I gave up and went to make dinner. After dinner, I asked him if he could stop ignoring me. And guess what, Sam?
He ignored her.
No answer. I asked him if he wanted to leave, to which he replies, "You can stay. I don't care."
Damn.
Hey, I threw up the red flag. Flag.
Oh, good for you.
So I ask him again if he will stop ignoring me if I stay. And when he says no is when I had it. And while I don't think ignoring someone like that is okay, I know I handled it really badly, and I do feel awful for being outright mean to him. Anyways, I texted him early this morning to say that I was so sorry and asked if he was willing to talk after work so that way I could apologize. I think that's a good move.
I feel like he's going to do something crazy.
Right?
I feel like we're building up to something crazy.
Sam, you know what you have to do? You have to give me a crazy, wacky prediction.
Okay, my crazy, wacky prediction, my conspiracy theory is he hooked up with someone from work because he was so embarrassed and his manhood was so threatened. So he needed to like infuel himself with some toxic masculinity to get over the fact that he peed the bed.
Oh. So he, after wetting the bed, did this, hooked up with someone, was like, I need to like.
I'm a man. See, I'm not a little boy. I'm a man.
He texted me back in around noon. So he's agreeing to meet and hear the apology.
Good.
We met up at home and he understandably was cold to me when we met. It didn't say much. I apologized for everything, for laughing, for telling our child, for telling him to get over it, and for the part I'm most ashamed of, that I told him he humiliated himself.
That's good. That's a good apology.
I agree. He was just silent the whole time, and when I was done, he just asked why I told our child. I explained, and after that, we just sat in silence in what felt like forever. Then, right out of nowhere, he went something like, I scared you, right? And I told him that he briefly did. He said that he could feel that. I asked what made him react so strong, but he didn't know. Just said that he panicked when he realized that he'd wet the bed, that it got even worse than when I told our child, and that he got so effing angry with me for it. I apologized again for making him feel that way. He apologized for making me feel scared.
What did he do that actually scared? Was it just like the...
So there was like a moment when they were standing there where I think it's one of those things where it's like they look over, you feel the energy, and OP literally said like, oh, I thought he was going to like hit me. I thought he was literally going to come for me with like the energy that he had right there, which he also kind of, he's acknowledging basically, not fully, but he's addressing it to a degree, it seems here. I'm not going to go through all what we said after that. It was a long talk, but in conclusion, none of us are happy with how we acted, and we both apologized for it. He wasn't that bugged about me laughing, but we both agreed that I shouldn't have told our child. However, he's no longer mad about it and doesn't think of it as a big deal. We both think that he shouldn't have ignored me like that, and that I handled it poorly and was mean.
Wait, is this just going to get resolved right now? Like,
we have both accepted each other's apologies, but I still feel bad for being so mean to him. But all in all, we are on good terms now. So we do have some relevant comments from Oggs Goliath. Wow, I just read your original post. You really are an a-hole and seemed oblivious to it. The way you talked about it really triggered me. I've experienced people like you, even dated one, where it seems like you can't empathize with someone who might react emotionally to things different than you. And then when someone has the audacity to give you the mental angst of considering whether you did something hurtful, you go even harder trying to put them in their place. Almost like it's some kind of defense mechanism to protect your ego. And the way you were talking to and about your husband also sounds abusive. OP response. Yes, I really effed up in that situation, and I was oblivious to it.
wow, just like admitting.
I wouldn't say that I normally have a hard time empathizing with people, but in this case, I clearly did. I wasn't expecting him to react so strongly, and it completely caught me off guard, as I said. I've been with him for 9 years, and I usually know pretty well how he will react, what makes him upset, and what doesn't. But now I just got it all wrong, and I'm not at all happy about it. I'm curious on everyone's takes here, and of course you as well, Sam, but I think the commenter might be like the dial is kind of turned too far.
I agree. I think OP is the a-hole, but the abusive, it's a little bit too much.
Yeah, like I feel like once OP realized what was going wrong, she was like fully retreat back.
Yeah.
Everything I did was wrong. I need to make sure I apologize for it and lead with some empathy.
I really did. I thought there was going to be more.
I know.
That's kind of where it ends. It
just left us there.
I mean, great. Like, I'm glad it got resolved well, and like everyone was kind of happy, and the people that apologized, and it seems like they came together and found a way to get stronger in the relationship. But dang, I wanted a little more drama.
I know, right? Usually there is more tea, but there is one more relevant comment here.
Okay.
Away Enthusiasm 4853 says, as someone who remembers fights like this from my childhood, have either of you talked to your daughter? That's an interesting point. OP, I have. We talked about it in the morning as she thought he was behaving strange where he just left. Again, when I put her to bed yesterday and some in between. I don't know if he has. He did sleep in her room together with her last night, but when he went to bed, she was already asleep. Otherwise, I didn't think they interacted that much yesterday. Not that he ignored her or was rude to her at all, but I think that she could sense that he was in a bad mood and stayed away from him. Tonight, she's at my parents' house, as I thought it would be good for us to talk without her and for her not to have to deal with our crap. I feel so bad for her being caught up in this.
I mean, I feel that's pretty mature.
Yeah. I think it's a smart move. And it's, again, a good thing to consider because it seems like not innocuous. I mean, the situation did kind of like start in a kind of small place and really inflated like several sizes above where it originally was. But like, I think it's a great point. Like if your kid like senses something is off, like for instance, the moment when OP was like, oh my gosh, is he going to like attack me right now? Maybe the kid feels that. You know, and like you don't really know until you like
exactly
try
the kids
and
are
sit with them.
sensitive to that kind of energy. So
100%.
I could understand if the kid did feel that.
100%. So my question to everyone here is, we kind of all, I feel like we both have this feeling of like, it's just like oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, do we think it's truly resolved? Is this resolved?
And how would you react if your partner wet the bed? What would you say?
What would you say?
I don't know. I feel would be like, oh damn, that happens. I don't know. I don't think I would. Maybe something. Is there any medical worries? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
I think for me, like because it's so embarrassing, and in these types of situations, I try to be like, hey, like let me wash the sheets. It's all good. Like I want
feel like
you
they
to
would be more worried. I think they would want to wash their own sheets.
That is true, but like more so just trying to appease as much as possible. Like I don't care. You know,
I even like it.
Oh,
why don't you pee on me next time?
Let's run it back.
Let's run it back.
But you know what I do want to run back?
What? That was. There's this guy in Germany, and apparently there's also a dude in New York that these dudes will like go right next to the urinals and ask people to pee in their mouths.
Which
wish I could be that person. Is that what you're about to say?
Quick okay story time before we get into the next one.
John loves golden showers.
I used to dislocate my knee all the time when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And so I was literally coming back from Thanksgiving. I was on a call with our podcast team, running to the bathroom to then run back into the car and hop on another call with our podcast team on the way to the airport and like be on it through the airport or whatever. So it's very, like I was dashing about. So I went and I started peeing in the toilet and my knee dislocated. And like, it's been so long, I like didn't realize what happened. And I think it snapped back into place. I checked it. And then ever since my knee has been like a little weaker. I think the tendons, like whatever, I need to go to the doctor. I haven't like gone to the doctor, but
Did you pee everywhere?
I really kept it intact. I leaned to the right. The thing is, it went back into place. So then
like almost no spillage.
Very little spillage. But I did clean it up afterwards.
Good. I'm glad you just didn't leave it there.
Yes. Hey, it was my sister's bathroom. So hey, joke's on you, baby sis. But yeah, so now I'm terrified of peeing standing up.
Yeah, John's a sitter.
Yeah, I'm a sitter.
Yeah.
And I'm a sitter, not a quitter.
He's rocking it. He's rocking it.
I'm owning it.
Yeah, except we did pee standing up next to each other a couple days ago.
We did, but I didn't have fun.
I had fun.
I because of the standing. If I was sitting, dude, I would have had a blast, dude. I would have been like, woo! But yeah.
A little fear inspired, but
little fear.
You know what sometimes inspires fear in me?
What?
Going to read this next story.
Oh God.
I outed my wife's asexuality after her friends made fun of me. Am I the a-hole? This is OKOP, where we give you the craziest stories on earth. I'm Sam, and John is OP the a-hole for outing his wife as asexual.
I mean, off rip with absolutely no details on the story, whatever. I'm going to go with a heck yeah.
A little backstory. We've been together for 9 years, married a little over 3. We both had incredibly high sex drives in the beginning.
Oh, God.
There were high sex drives.
Back in the days.
And then God turned on the lights.
Oh.
And then we were like, ew.
You ugly.
And like normal, after some time, they began to come and go. We used to never go more than a few days without having. We got married just before the pandemic, which might have added to things. But the long and short of it is after some personal therapy at the beginning of 2020, my wife concluded that she was asexual and mostly had for my benefit and to maintain the relationship.
Wow. Dang.
That's kind of rough.
Wow.
That's rough. So OP is not asexual.
And super quick question. I just want to know what you all, like, how would you react if your partner told you that? That's a
They're
big.
asexual.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like at least for me, it's an important part of the relationship.
Yeah, it's definitely a big component.
The big
there.
component.
Yeah.
I feel like I would feel like it would feel more like just like we're close friends.
Yeah.
If we didn't have that component.
Yeah, because it's not just literally the sex, but what about also the touch and intimacy?
And I'm a very physical touch person. So
Yeah.
I think the intimacy would be an issue for me. And it's also like you just don't like that's not, it's like it's not a match. It's like the same. It's the same as if like someone is gay and you're straight and you like don't want to like date someone of the same sex. I think it's like I think it would be fine to say like, oh, I don't necessarily want to date someone asexual.
Yeah. I feel like I would react the same way, but I'm very
I would love
curious.
to know what you guys you think.
Please tell us.
Yeah, especially if anyone is asexual too.
There we go.
Like, how would you expect a partner to react?
Yes.
Looking back, I can kind of see it now. And John, what do we always say?
Yeah, there's always signs. Always.
Always red flags. Where's that red flag, John? It would have been nice to know beforehand, but it is what it is. She still offers once in a while because she knows I want to have it, but I turn it down every time.
Yeah.
It's no fun having sex with someone just doing it for your benefit. If I'm going to have sex with someone, they should actually want to have sex with me, not just for maintenance.
Oh,
For maintenance.
Maintenance,
I
man.
ain't
It's like a
car,
car.
babe.
Yeah.
Beep, beep.
Fast forward. Beep, beep. Fast forward to this past Friday. We went to a party at one of her friends' houses. I know a few people, so it's never too bad, although I'm not a big party guy. As usual, we end up being one of the last to leave. The last hour or so of these parties are usually chill, just sit around in the living room, chat, catch up. It's quiet, but the conversations eventually turn and personal, and I hate it.
Oh, God.
For obvious reasons, namely having to hear all these women talk about how much they love having sex with their husbands, partners, and all the things they do, knowing I'll never have that.
Put ICU in the comments if you know what's about to go down.
The worst part, though, is my wife makes up all of these wild stories and things we do, not even have done in the past, just flat out lies because she's embarrassed of her asexuality. I just kind of nod along since she's not really comfortable with other people knowing. I feel like, I mean, they're staying together, but I feel like this is a big thing that I don't think has been worked through enough, obviously.
Yeah, it feels like they just skirted over
They
it.
skirted over. This is a big thing. This is a big thing.
Come on.
I had to come back from the bathroom to them having a conversation about oral sex. One story about how someone didn't like it at first, now they love it. Another about wishing they got it more. Another about liking it more than sex sometimes. And then it comes time for my wife to talk.
Oh, no.
And they're prying for the dirty details.
Oh, God.
For whatever, my wife decides to tell the truth and say that she can't remember the last time someone went down on her.
Ooh.
Of course, she left out the key bit of context, which turned into the group haranguing of how I need to put in more effort. How my wife probably gives me head all the time and I don't return the favor. And how it's typical of men to be selfish lovers.
Uh-oh.
I can see OP boiling.
Oh.
OP's boiling. He's like, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it.
Don't make me do it.
I took it for a few minutes, hoping my wife would jump in and stop it, which would be the considerate thing to do.
Right.
She just kept quietly saying, it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind. He does other stuff, blah, 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 which I feel like is maybe her way of, that feels like kind of.
I think it kind of depends on how she's
already said the bad thing.
Yeah.
This does seem like she's like kind of putting a little effort to subside it, but maybe not enough.
Yeah.
She already said the bad thing.
It's true.
But they kept going. Finally, one of her friends, who, as an anecdote, I effing despise because she's overly confrontational for absolutely no reason, demands to know why I don't eat out my wife more often. It's a very open friend group.
Good gravy.
In a room full of like 9 other people.
Right.
Bro. I looked to my wife and asked if she'd like to chime in, but my wife doesn't. Do you think the wife should have said something at this point?
I feel like she should at least, like, if she said, oh, actually, I don't like it, you know, just to like everyone's coming for OP now.
Just say she doesn't prefer it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man,
something like that. Something.
Do you think OP's gonna say something?
I feel it. I see you.
I see you in the comments if you know what OP's about to do. OP shrugs and says that I actually really enjoy performing oral sex on women, but that my wife doesn't let me because we don't have sex.
Okay. Don't know if I would phrase it that way. He's salty.
He's salty.
He's salty.
My wife's face dropped and she shot a look at me. I didn't even explicitly say she was asexual. I just said, we don't have sex and haven't for a few years when further harassed about it. She immediately begins apologizing for me, explaining that things have been rocky, so we haven't been having much, which I immediately shut down because that's not even remotely true. If anything, things have been great lately. If she's been having issues or doubts, this would be my first time hearing them. I finally gave up. I told my wife I was going home, but she said she wasn't done yet or ready to leave. I logged into Uber on her phone so she could use my account and told her she can take it home or stay the night, but that I would not sit here and be a punching bag because she was ashamed to admit she was asexual. My wife immediately ran to the bathroom and I was told to leave.
You know who's the a-hole here?
Who?
The friend group.
The friend group.
The friend group.
I think everyone's a little a-holey here.
Yeah.
Friend group's an a-hole
Yes.
for digging into stuff that is too personal, maybe. And they should have seen the signs that people were uncomfortable.
Totally.
The wife is the a-hole for throwing OP under the bus.
Yep.
And OP is the a-hole for taking the truth a little too far.
This is a huge group of we got butts galore.
Big group of booty a-holes.
Yep.
She came home not long after me and hasn't spoken to me much since, except to half-heartedly apologize, but that outing her like I did was worse, which I wonder if you guys agree. Do you think it's worse to out someone as asexual or worse to say, to I guess, lie about the contents of your sex life to your friend group? I apologize for outing her, but that she didn't leave me much choice. A few of her friends have messaged me calling me every name up and down the book and saying they're going to convince her to leave me. Who are these friends?
Stop it. I'm calling red flag on the friend group.
Red flag on the friend group, dude.
They, like, imagine you're in a group of people and someone's like, you should eat your wife out more. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like,
well, you don't have any context.
You don't have any context. And a much more reasonable scenario, like, let's say the wife was like, maybe it was like the 3 of them or even just the wife and a close friend. And she was recounting this stuff. And then the friend was like, wait a second, like, he doesn't please you, like all this stuff. Like, you should make sure that you get
like
what you want in a relationship.
Conversation maybe, but not in front of the husband.
And yeah, it's
bad
just
move.
Just not the way to go about it.
And the fact that they're saying, oh, well, like, we're going to convince her to leave you.
Yeah.
Red flag for the friend group for sure. 1 or 2 of the boyfriends/husbands messaged me and said they were sorry and didn't know what to do, but offered to buy me a beer if I wanted, which I guess is nice.
All right.
Another of the friends in an openly poly relationship actually offered to have sex with me.
I'm lost.
John's bricked up right now.
Yeah. No. This is crazy.
I showed my wife immediately. She says she knows it must have been shitty to sit there and take it, but that they're not really my friends. So some momentary discomfort from people I don't really associate with isn't comparable to her prolonged discomfort of significant people in her life now knowing she's asexual. But are these people that you want to have in your life?
That
And
is
if they're
the
so
question.
significant, maybe you should be honest with them.
Yeah, like I am not getting good vibes at all from this friend
The
group.
friend group is kind of trash.
Yeah.
And also, like, wait, we're just going to completely skim over the fact that one of her friends was like, all with you.
Yeah, and honestly, like, again, I would love to hear from the asexual community in our comments and help enlighten us. Like, in a scenario like this, is it a maybe not a common occurrence, but a thing to do where it's like, hey, I found out into the relationship, into the marriage specifically, that I'm asexual.
I feel like opening one side of the relationship probably would make sense.
I imagine somebody's come across this as a solution.
Yeah.
The question is, and I truly don't know, and why I'm curious to hear from our community, who is a part of that community, does that like hurt at all? I guess knowing that it's one thing to is there no feelings involved there? I don't know.
I imagine there is. I imagine there's still emotional.
Yeah.
It's also completely different from person to
because
person.
non-asexual people aren't full on poly relationships, so
Exactly.
it happens.
Exactly.
So
I completely disagree, but can kind of see where she's coming from. So am I the a-hole here? There is some edits that I will get into right now, but really quick gut check: is OP the a-hole? Yes or no?
yes, everyone's the a-hole.
Everyone's the a-hole. I agree. Put your answers in the comments right now and why, but let's get into the edit. So a few things I can't reply to because there's so many comments and I can't reply to all of them. But one, I actually don't mind not having because I genuinely love her. Aw.
I mean, that is huge. That is not to be understated.
There are times it does get to me, and this was admittedly one of them, but they are very rare, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. No part of me believes that she bait and switched me for the ring. That's just not who she is. 2, she's asexual. She's not effing other guys. I'm not some cuck waiting at home like a few DMs insinuated. I went with her for a few therapy sessions where she let me know I fully support her. 3, yes, I'm aware that technically it is my fault we don't have. Asexuality is a spectrum, yes. She feels no desire to have. She physically likes, but otherwise she could live without it. My boundary is I don't want to have sex with someone who doesn't desire me. I'm not undermining asexuality by having that boundary. And 4, the issue here isn't that I'm with someone who is asexual. I'm not sure why people are telling me my marriage is over. I never suggested it. The issue is how she handles it and expects me to take the brunt of this kind of BS because she's ashamed of it, which that is good clarification, right? Like, I mean, it seems like because OP is so in love with her, it doesn't like isn't the most important part of their relationship.
Which I'm almost like, I mean, again, this friend group sounds crazy, but what if that's what came out of that conversation where it's like, imagine in an alternate world where the wife was like, yeah, you know what? I'm actually asexual and, but we want to stay in this relationship. We're both happy to still stay together.
We both love each other. Like that would be such a healthier way of going about it instead of lying.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this friend group is low key kind of toxic.
Yeah. They probably would have freaked out either way.
Yeah.
Like they sound
They
bananas.
sound pretty terrible. I think you should break up. You should divorce the friend group.
Divorce the friend group.
Divorce.
Woo.
But we do have an update.
Oh, let's get into it.
So TLDR of the original post was during therapy. My wife came to accept she was asexual, didn't want to tell anyone out of embarrassment, made up stories about us, and let her friends chew me out during a party instead of telling them off because of embarrassment of being asexual. And I outed her when I said I was sick of being a punching bag because she was ashamed of her sexuality. Damn, that was a nice little recap. So I deleted the original post as it got pretty overwhelming. It was cross-posted to a few other subreddits. I got a lot of hate DMs. It even made it to those TikToks where a TTS reads it with Minecraft gameplay. Oh, I guess that's like
the robot reading.
Yeah. Which led to precisely where I am now. It had come across one of her friends' feeds 2 days ago who sent it to her, which led to a conversation in a fairly productive few days. So basically, the TikToks went super viral and it spread to the wife. Which actually it spread to the friend, which spread it to the wife, which actually led to productive conversation.
Wow.
So you're welcome, OP.
We doing a public service.
In the time since, I did apologize for outing her, and she apologized to me for letting it get that far. She ended up telling all her friends, and none of them cared and were entirely supportive.
Yeah.
She asked them to apologize to me because it was her who put me in that situation, but only one of them has. Red flag. Bro, that friend group is like full of red flags.
Divorce him.
And it was a half-hearted one at that. Paraphrasing, but basically, yeah, sorry, but maybe it's best if you don't come to gatherings anymore, sort of thing.
Maybe it's best if you don't come to what anymore?
Gatherings. Like, yeah, it's okay, but we don't want to see you anymore. What kind of apology is that?
What is wrong with you people? You suck.
They suck so much,
You
dude.
suck.
What is up with this friend group?
Bruh. Stop that.
Put this friend group is a giant red flag in the chat if you think they are a red flag.
Throw it in. Red flags.
We've started back at couples counseling too. I was happy with where things ended up after the initial conversation, but we decided to go back to get everything out and hopefully find a workable way forward.
Okay.
A few things I wanted to address from the comments everywhere. Asexuality is real. She's not low libido. She has no libido and doesn't feel the urge everyone else does. She believes she never has, but talked herself into thinking it because that's what she felt she was supposed to do. I wasn't paraphrasing, misunderstanding, or putting words in her mouth. This is her description of it. A handful of people said it was entirely my fault for us not having, as my boundary was harmful to asexual people and childish. So I wanted to clarify. My wife was the one who used the phrasing of maintenance. She has made it clear that she has no desire for sex, but will do it for me occasionally if I want it. In her words, it's a task she is happy to do to keep me happy, but I'm not comfortable with that. It's more or less a favor, like if I ask her to pick up my dry cleaning. It's not selfish or childish to want a partner to actually want to have sex with you.
Totally.
Otherwise, it's just masturbating with someone else's body, which I'm not fine with.
That sounds crazy when you put it like that.
Yeah, not good. Not good. I'm fine without. That part was grossly overinflated in some comments. I was uncomfortable at the lying and being thrown in the bus. I value her for far more than sex anyway. There's more that defines this a relationship rather than just, which I feel like at a certain point in a marriage, like that it probably is true.
Yeah.
Many people pointed out how it was weird that her friends sit around and talk about their sex lives. I believe so to some degree. These aren't super raunchy conversations anyway, but I see no issue in close friends being open about things like this. It's no big deal to me personally. I don't think it's a big deal to talk about sex with friends. I think it's a big deal to be like invasive and like confrontational and rude and mean.
Why don't you know your wife? Come on.
A couple people sent me resources on being a partner to someone who is asexual, and I want to thank you for that.
Nice.
And then they linked to one that they felt that was most helpful.
Oh.
In her defense, without me asking, since I wouldn't be comfortable telling her who and who not to be friends with, she has turned down a couple of invites to go out since and has removed the two main instigators from social media, which is enough for me, which is great.
Yes.
Some people were confused on the ages. Everyone is late 20s, mid 30s. I am not going to divorce her, so you can stop wasting your time suggesting that. So yeah, boring update, I know, but everything is fine.
Wow. And
that
that's it.
is a wrap. That is a wrap. Yeah. So I guess like finally, do you think that OP has been fair to his wife? And do you think he has handled the asexuality and the friend group dynamic with all of this information well?
So let's break it down. On the first part of the story, before the first update, everyone's an a-hole, right? That was when they had this big fight and like the friend group was mean and the wife did come forward with the truth and OP really stretched the truth. Then afterwards, I think that OP and the wife really came together.
Yep.
They recognized each other's size.
And they got
empathized.
closer. They got closer, which is ideally what these kinds of bad situations hopefully lead to. Like these situations where you don't understand each other. It is a opportunity to understand each other. And it seems like they got closer after.
And what seemed clear to me was that this was really just like a momentary lapse in judgment with the whole incident of the friend group. And generally speaking, OP is totally open to and willing to do what it takes to make his marriage work.
And really, if I think back to it, I think if the friends hadn't been so like insanely confrontational, I don't think this would have happened. Really,
yes.
The problem is not like, I mean, yes, the wife said some bad things and so did OP.
Yeah.
But the main instigators are the friends. Like the friends maintain their holishness throughout all of these updates.
Exactly.
And so I'm just thinking like, I feel like we got to, and it seems like the wife has already done it with 2 of the friends. But
Yes.
dropping some of those friends is probably a good idea.
That's the way. And I don't think they would have, they both kind of, the OP and the wife reached kind of these boiling points. Don't think they would have reached it with if the friend group was not involved or if it was a different friend group.
Yeah.
A good friend group.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. But maybe we should just read one more story.
I think we should. My stepson is hospitalized and my family doesn't care. Should I go no contact? Sam, should OP go no contact?
If they don't care about your son, then maybe.
I had my hair appointment and it was important. Okay.
Do you actually have a hair appointment?
No, I don't.
That's a red flag. I mean, it depends how good the hair looks, because I might forgive you if it looks freaking amazing.
Well, you know,
there's only one way to find out.
Spill that tea. So this actually comes from r/okopshow. If you want to submit your own story and have it read like this, go to r/okopshow or
call 440-508-6567. But John, tell me that juicy story.
So Buffalo Cheddar Biscuits says, the post was too long for most Am I the A-hole pages, so I figured here would be a good spot for some judgment. And you figured
we
right.
will give you that judgment.
Oh, yes. This week has been a whirlwind of insanity, all of which I wish was made up. For a while, my stepson, 23 male, has had some serious symptoms that he finally got checked out, with results shared to him earlier this week. Our family, me, my husband, stepson's biological mom, and the biomom's partner, and my stepdaughter rushed 3 states away, driving through the night to meet at one of the country's top neurocare hospitals.
Which is what you should do if that ever happens, right?
Absolutely.
That is what like a good family does.
Absolutely. Nothing but green flags, which I think we need some green
Inverse
flags.
green flag?
Inverse it.
We do have green
Don't read the
flags.
hat. Oh, we do. We got to bring those up.
Where are they?
I don't know.
Honestly, seems like a green flag.
That it does. These are green if it's not showing through. Our family rushed 3 states away, driving through the night to meet at one of the country's top neurocare hospitals, where my stepson was admitted. And surgery was performed the very next day. Turns out he had hydrocephalus caused by a brain tumor that we now know is cancer.
Oh, no.
They removed almost 2 liters of spinal fluid buildup, and doctors confirmed that had he waited longer, he might have passed away.
Wow.
My family was scared out of our minds. No one could sleep, pretty much walking the corridors like zombies.
Yeah, I can imagine.
A little more background. I have gone no contact with a large portion of the family I grew up with, my full-blood sisters, my mom, etc. I am low contact with my brother, but reached out to let him know what's been going on before we headed to the hospital, and also to give him updates during the trip. I also reached out to one of my sisters, as she had asked me to send her a recipe for a gift for my niece, and I messaged saying that I couldn't participate. Something had come up. She tried to push me to still send the recipe.
Bro.
Well, she doesn't know yet. Which is when I said I had a family emergency and wasn't sure when I'd be back in town, to which she never replied. Totally fair.
To not reply?
Totally fair that,
Totally fair.
OP's doing the most by even responding during
Exactly.
this crazy situation. Who cares about your freaking recipe? About midway through the trip, I broke down and I called my mom, who she was no contact
And we don't
with.
know why yet.
We don't know why. While I was trying to give updates, she insisted I visit the famous Mormon temple in that city and walk the grounds. And I call the temple to get my stepson on their prayer/blessings list. So
I imagine OP is Mormon.
we're inferring that they are Mormon. Very well could be. I shot the suggestions down very quickly. And while my mother was arguing that I needed to do it for my own solace, I told her that I wasn't going to bother tracking down information while I can barely function, only for the Mormons to use it to show up either at our house or at the hospital, and that we are not Mormon.
Oh, so OP is not Mormon.
OP is not Mormon, but maybe the mom is.
Yeah.
Imagine if she's not. That'd be the weirdest.
Yeah. You should check out the Mormon. I mean, the Mormon temples are pretty sick.
That's true. They do a good job.
They do a good job.
She tried to argue, which is when I told her to shut up and let me give you the updates on my stepson's condition. I gave the bare bones, at which point my mom started telling me I needed to dissolve my 401k to start paying for things.
What the fuck?
And that is what I was there for. I think she was worried I was going to start asking for money which is strange as I have always done everything I can to be as independent from her as possible. She likes to use money as a manipulation tactic. I jumped off the call as my mom was making a big deal about checking the mail for her Christmas card, and I had to stop and explain it is a terrible time to be making a fuss about that, as we will resume normal life once we return home, but can't do anything about it right now. She's worried about the Christmas card while her grandson,
stepson, is dying.
Like, what?
Priorities.
Serious? Like, you would, God, it
How
seems
do
so
you not-
obvious.
Like, how do you have your priorities so out of whack?
I mean, it's just unfathomable how out of order they are. Then I touched base with my brother. I told my brother I had broken down and called my mom. And he mentioned that he was glad she answered, and he had mentioned to my mother, it's time to put the petty BS aside, and what I am going through is any parent's worst nightmare. I thought it was a bit strange, but pretty much on par for my mother. Surgery went well, the brain drain worked, and we were then just waiting a few days for our stepson to be released. Oh, wow,
Glad it all worked out.
Yeah, big weight off their shoulders, I imagine. My husband and I said our goodbyes to head back home. It was then the sister I messaged days earlier finally reached out, saying she heard the news from our mom about my husband's son and wanted to let me know that she was praying. I said thank you, but my blood started to boil. There's been a lot of bad blood between my sister and I, as she has done several tactics intending to cause me extra hurt after my sisters had been the one to choose no contact. So this was them going no contact with OP, not the other way around, which is kind of what I was assuming. Yeah, they were the ones.
So
that
the parents went no. You know why? I imagine maybe OP left the Mormon church.
There we go. That
makes sense. That
honestly,
makes sense.
I would put on the tinfoil hat, but that seems
very likely.
Very likely. Told me that we already had one dead sister. They were fine with another.
What?
Oh my God. And they got mad when I held them to the no contact and tried to punish me.
Wow. I mean, there's not many ways to come back from saying something like that.
Oh my God. So I asked my sister if she even knew my stepson's name. I told her that this wasn't just my husband's son, that this was my stepson, her nephew, and our mother's grandson. She started to get huffy and defensive and said that she wanted me to know that she was praying and that we can stop the conversation right there. That's okay too.
Like, how can you be praying and then at the same time say the worst thing possible?
It makes no sense.
Divorce your family.
Yeah, please.
Red flag.
To which I promptly asked to end the conversation, as our relationship was too broken. She responded that she was reaching out to let me know that she was praying in sincerity and she wasn't trying to mend our relationship. I snapped and told her prayers are meant for the Lord's ears, not mine.
Ooh.
Amen, sister.
Bless your heart.
Tell it to the choir. And told her not to contact me on personal matters again. The following day, I was messaging with my mother on a few updates, at which point my mom told me she knows how I feel as she always worries when my stepdad goes in for surgery, and that we need to check the mail for her Christmas card.
This is not the time to ask for these favors.
I lost it again. I told my mom that the only comparison is had her daughter, who died in a scene at a car wreck, made it to the hospital and her life hung in the balance, and that my stepdad's surgeries didn't compare, as they are mainly elected orthopedic surgeries, knee replacements until he got tired of them and then opted for amputation. It's all apples and oranges, and that reaching out to her was a mistake that I won't make again. So really quick, it basically seems like the stepmom, or the mom rather, was like, hey, like, check my Christmas card. And also saying like, oh, well, you know, maybe we were in touch when, you know, your stepfather had these surgeries and whatnot. And OP's like, that isn't comparable. Like, this was like a knee surgery and then later an amputation, not life threatening. Where
exactly.
life
you don't
really hangs the
know
balance.
whether the stepson is going to be okay or not.
Exactly. And this is, I'm no medical expert, a lot more pre-planned than this, which was the just emergency of all emergencies.
Yes.
I know that a lot of my frustrations are from the helplessness of the situation, but my side has rarely, if ever, been there for me in ways that are real. This is the closest thing my mother has to real empathy, but my sister knew from the very beginning all of this and I had a family emergency even before my brother knew, but couldn't be bothered to ask, and reached out to let me know she was praying because she wanted me to know, but couldn't even tell me my own stepson's name. My mother seemed more concerned with the Christmas card. She spends $25 on a Starbucks card most years, which is what she wants me to have. But I mean, come the hell on, context of what's going on in my life, caring more about that than her grandson. I've tried to keep this mainly about myself, as my stepson is entitled to his privacy from strangers, and he is currently doing better, but not out of the woods entirely. So please tell me, am I the a-hole? I mean, laughing.
We almost have to say it
question.
together. No.
Not the a-hole.
I feel like we always swap.
Yeah. Here, well, what is it? No and 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
No.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, just this is one of the most clear-cut things of not the a-hole.
Yeah. And it's like the things that your mom is asking you to do are not big things, right? Like
No.
they're not big things. And under any other circumstances, probably totally fine to ask.
Check the mail,
Yeah.
and also don't be mad about it.
Yeah, but totally. But if your stepson their life is in danger, I'm not going to be freaking checking the mail.
I'm not going to do
I'm
it.
going to be tending to my stepson. So read the room, read the context, mom. OP, you are not the a-hole.
Not
I
at
am
all.
curious because this is a member of the OK fam.
Yes.
An OK biscuit, some might say a tea biscuit. People didn't want to be called tea bags, so I
Yes.
think tea biscuits is
It's off the table.
In fact, our own little tea biscuit. Are you ex-Mormon? I would love to know if that's true. That's like something that John and I were kind of thinking, but let us know in the comments if you're watching this.
True. And praying everything is going better, that you get solace from your insane family, and just supporting you in the decision of like, you don't need to talk with these family members. They are not here to serve you.
Exactly. And like what your family should do is love you. But if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you, and see you tomorrow.